Hello and welcome to the Telescope. Every week we bring you a fresh insight from the biggest car market in the world. This is the XPeng X9. We've done a very brief first look on the Guangzhou Motor Show. Now back in Guangzhou again, now the X9 is in its full production form. At nearly 5.3 meters long, the XPeng X9 is actually not going to be the biggest MPV you're going to see recently. That belongs to the Li Auto Mega. The X9 though has some very unusual design features. Firstly is this very sloping front windscreen. That's just 21 degrees. More unusually, it has a very heavily raked rear screen as well. Combining these sharp lines, you can see the X9 is clearly not your usual boxy MPV. But of course, the X9 being such a big car has a lot of space. I've set this seat to its most rearward position, so this is kind of the full seat configuration. These two second row seats are heated, cooled, massaged. You also have lower leg support. You also have a 21-inch TV that you can call out just by voice command. I've mentioned this in the Guangzhou Motor Show first look that this 21-inch TV is a lot bigger than the 17 or the 15-inch TVs on other MPVs or SUVs. This looks next generation. Underneath the TV, you also has a fridge that can cool your drinks down to 0 degrees Celsius and warm your milk up to 50 degrees. But I wish XPeng can let me manually power this. You know, pressing a touch sensitive button is not always the best way to operate these things. So in terms of second row seat and comfort, this is pretty much up to the maximum level. Now we go to the third row. We've specifically asked for a version with the central walkthrough. We think this is the version that most people will end up buying. Now with a central walkthrough, even for someone like me, I'm 5'11", I can spread my legs across this, a lot of room. What you may not expect is electronically powered seat back even on the third row. I mean, this is a lot more comfortable than your usual MPV and full-size SUVs. Now I'm going to perform the XPeng X9's party trick. While it's doing its thing, I need to explain a little bit of where we are. We are in Guangzhou, which is XPeng's headquarters, but it's also the original joint venture production plant of Honda in China. And it's here in this city they produce all of the Honda Odyssey MPVs. And we all know the Honda Odyssey can fold its third row seat completely underneath the floor. So when XPeng does an MPV, it decides to steal this trick from the Honda Odyssey, but it goes one better. It's electronically powered with just a touch of a button. Now, I've seen this trick being performed definitely more than 10 times during the Guangzhou Motor Show and also trying this out here. I have to say it doesn't get old. You can watch this half a dozen times and it still amazes me how even the headrest is electronically powered. Now we're on the move with the XPeng X9. I'm not actually driving the car. The XNGP system is driving this. It's very, very impressive. As you can see, we're turning sharp right in a crowded city center, Guangzhou. Very crowded road, but it's handling it just fine, which leaves my job, which is talking to the camera while driving, a lot easier. Here at the front, which is not exactly that important for an MPV, but I'm going to tell you anyway, it's not a carbon copy of the XPeng G6 or the G9. It's actually the next generation. Here powering the infotainment system is the Qualcomm 8295. It's, in terms of CPU and GPU power, it's roughly 2.5 times stronger than the previous 8155, which, to be honest, never felt slow. But with the 8295, you have much higher screen resolution. This screen is much bigger, much thinner bezels, much higher frame rate on all of the animations. This now feels as slick, if not slicker, than most of the Android tablets out there. We are in the twin motor 503 horsepower version, which is definitely an overkill. And it's in the motor combination that you can see just about the only compromise that XPeng has made for the excellent rear packaging. This car, the big motor is at the front. So most of the time, if you go for the single motor version, this car is predominantly front wheel drive. Now, if it's an SUV or a saloon, I would think that's a real compromise. But because this is an MPV, and most of the time you're not doing sporty driving in an MPV, and with over 2.5 tons in body weight, you're not exactly short of traction. So I don't think it's that much of a compromise for a car like this to be only front wheel drive. 0 to 100 kilometers acceleration in this car, even in a single motor version, is definitely going to be under 8 seconds, which for a car of this size and when you sit 4 or 5 people in it, doesn't feel slow. For this car's size, yes, XPeng has fitted rear wheel steer to this, but there's no getting away from the fact that this car is nearly 2 meters wide and also quite tall. You do feel its size in the crowded city traffic, but it's less of a problem if you trust the XNGP system as much as I do. All the time I'm talking to you on camera, it's the XNGP system that's driving the car. I've switched to manual driving to tell you about the steering feel of this car. It feels appropriately slow for an MPV. What I like about it is there's no play in the steering whatsoever. There's no dead zone in the center, so you can play this car really accurately on the road. The X9 has dual chamber air suspension, but I don't think it really needs it. You know, dual chamber air suspension can give you an extra stiffness, but I just never felt like I'm gonna do some sporty driving in a 2.5 ton 6-seater MPV. I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but you get the point. On efficiency and range, this is an XPeng, so you don't really need to worry about it, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. With the single motor version, with the 101 kilowatt hour battery, you get 700 kilometers CLTC. That's 580 WLTP and easily 315 to 20 miles EPA. And it's an 800 volt electric vehicle, so it charges really quickly, over 200 kilowatts of fast charging. It's a solid EV, of course it is. It's an XPeng. It's one of the most interesting cars I've reviewed lately. It's not your usual MPV. It tried to think outside of the box. It has a lot of space and comfort, but it's also packed with technology. XPeng also doesn't get lazy on packaging just because they have 5.3 meters of length to play with. Quite the contrary, it tried really hard on packaging to fold the third row seat completely underneath the rear floor to package rear wheel steering and a dual chamber air suspension while not compromising on crash safety is definitely very impressive. Combining with its €50,000 starting price, it gives most high-end electric vehicles and especially the MPVs a wake-up call. If all you want is space and comfort, you can get a lot more of them in an MPV like this. Not to mention, this is actually a lot cheaper than most high-end or full-size electric SUVs. We'll bring you the review of the Li Auto Mega later on. That is a very different kind of beast, and I think, in my opinion, is not directly competing with the XPeng X9. That is for later. That is all from the Telescope today. If you enjoyed this video, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.